Hello everyone, welcome to Asiga's Dental Webinar Series live from Sydney, Australia. My name is Graham Turner, I'm the Global Operations Manager for Asiga. And the Asiga Dental Webinar Series will navigate all areas of dentistry from the laboratory to the dental clinic and cover all dental applications where 3D printing is an integral component to the digital workflow. Over the series, we will invite key digital dental users and experts to join us to discuss how they have implemented 3D printed into their workflows. We hope this will provide you with some guidance, education, and insight into dental 3D printing, so we hope you enjoy. The topic of this webinar is 3D printing and the full digital workflow with Milos Miladinov. Now, Milos opened his first dental laboratory in 2003 called Dental Tech. And then 10 years later, he started lecturing in dental photography and aesthetic planning for DSD in Spain. Many will know Milos through his book, which was hugely successful, Shoot Like a Pro. And the book became the go-to guide for dental photography. He's a KOL for Ivoclar Vivadent and a global ambassador for Slow Dentistry. And the format of this webinar will be for me to shortly hand you over to Milos. And after his presentation, we'll have some time for a Q&A session. So be sure to send in any questions that you may have via the chat box, and we'll do our best to answer these at the end of the session. We'll try and keep this to 1 hour. So let's get started. Milos, it's a pleasure to have you on the webinar with us today. How are things?
Yeah, it's an honor, and really thank you for inviting me so I can share with you my knowledge and my experience about the full digital workflow.
That's great. Well, the stage is yours. I'll sit backstage, but it's over to you.
Okay, I just need to be able to share my screen. So right now it's disabled.
Can you share your screen now?
Nope, not yet. No, it says host disabled the share screen. Let me see. Okay, right now it's okay. I'm sharing it, and let me know if you guys can see what I'm showing on the screen. So it says trends in digital dentistry. And here you can see I'm an opinion leader for different brands like Ivoclar, Medit, Asiga, Shera, Anaxent, and also global ambassador for SmileCloud, Slow Dentistry, DSD App, and exocad. One of the two biggest association worldwide is DDS, Digital Dentistry Society, that I'm one of their ambassadors, and the European Academy of Digital Dentistry, which is going to be a big, huge thing in the future, very soon, actually. This is one of my facilities. Actually, it's the place where we do the dental trainings because I'm focused a lot on dental education. And you can see a short video. Okay, so we are also ICD, Ivoclar International Training for Dental Education, partner for Romania, for Timișoara. And this is my digital lab. It's one of the first full digital labs in the world, in Europe also. And we stopped taking analog impressions almost 3 years ago. Since then, we work only and exclusively with digital dentists. And we switched from stone material to printing material to printers. And one of our first printers, it's like super old and was really bad, but now we have a really nice setup. Our training center, it's called Ugly Tooth because that's the only name we got left. Everybody took the other names like President Dental, Number One Dental, so we are happy with this name too. And today we are going to talk about predictable results in with digital dentistry, in aesthetic dentistry, using the full digital workflow. And I have some articles in different magazines published already about the full digital workflow. Some of them are since many years, some of them more recent, and where I'm explaining step-by-step workflow here. And today I will try to show you the biggest part of my articles. And I believe that full digital workflow has to be set in three big classes. One of them is the clinical part, and this is the most complex one because here, okay, it's enough to have an intraoral scanner and a chairside printer, but if you want to evolve, if you want to have more predictable results, definitely I would go for more toys, more equipments. In my workflow, in my training center, we are using the intraoral scanner, we are using the face scanner and CBCT, especially for full mouth rehabs and implant-based restorations. We are using the chairside printer augmented reality glasses, so we can shorten our times when we are scanning. So that's something reducing the time-consuming protocols. Chairside mill, program mill PM1, and of course, we can have options like chairside systems, CAD softwares, actually T-scan or jaw tracking systems. All of them are very useful, but to have a minimum start for digital dentistry, you will definitely need an intraoral scanner and chairside printer in your clinic. For this, we choose, of course, a Asiga UV Max because I think it's extremely compact printer, open printer, which is my favorite thing in dentistry. If you have open softwares like ExoCAD, like printers, like chairside printer, like Asiga one, like intraoral scanner, Medit, and so on, that you can pay one time for it and you can use it forever without annual licenses, without any other problems or locked materials and so on. Step or class number 2 is the one that has to deal with communication, yeah, because what's a clinician without a good lab and communication between these two? So basically, we have many options. The most basic one is TeamViewer, that because the dentist can go on the dental technician computer and they can check the design together when they are doing restorations for a patient or something like that. We have photo protocols that if we have our camera, we need to take 2 pictures and send to the technician, and he can do the design in ExoCAD using the Smile Composer or in the DSD app or in Smile Cloud. There are many different apps that can help you design a nice, healthy, natural smile, and not only nice facially guided smile, but also functional, yeah? And my favorite way to communicate with dentists is ExoCAD WebView because this one gives me the option, and you will see later in my presentation, will give you the option to send this information to the dentist, and he can look in his phone or iPad or computer, and he can zoom in, zoom out, rotate from any angle, because he will see the virtual patient as it will be in reality with the future restoration. And I will explain that a little bit later. And then we have the next class component, which is the laboratory equipment. And here we need, of course, a good CAD software. We need a good milling machine. In my case, I'm intending now to go to the next level with the PM3 because we are a very small, compact laboratory. We don't need big milling machines. We don't need nothing fancy or super expensive. And we have a printer like SheraPrint P30, and we have a Asiga UV Max, so we are using them both. One of them for chairside, the other one for laboratory. And let's start with the first component of the clinical part, because today we're going to focus a little bit more on that. And I will show you how full digital workflow can help you minimize the cross-contamination in dentistry. Basically, I'm working with my dentists from different areas like Switzerland, Austria, Chicago in US, and many other, we work with dentists from Hong Kong and so on. So basically, we never get in touch with each other's. And that's the beauty of the digital dentistry, because they can send the virtual impressions, yeah, PLI format with their intraoral scanner. And if they have, and they're lucky to have a Medit intraoral scanner, then they can do a lot of good things with it, because this scanner is not only going to scan the intraoral situation of the patient, but it's also going to give you a piece of the face of the patient, because we need it to be able to restore aesthetic prosthetic parts and they need to be according to the facial references. So basically, this one is going to help you a lot in having predictable outcomes when we talk about aesthetics in dentistry. What is nice also that once your assistant or you send the impression to the lab, we have two options. Either we take the scans, we design everything like the 6 anterior veneers, like in this case, and we send the STL back to the clinic so they can print out their mock-up individual veneers or mock-up model, so they can create a silicon key, a silicon index, and they can do the mock-up in the mouth, or we can print them ourselves. Here you can see some printed models and some printed veneers in the box, and that's how we ship them to the dentists that they don't have a chairside printer. But let's talk about the option of every dentist having a chairside printer, because all my dentists are having one of those. Why it's so important? Because in the morning, assistant is sending to me the impression, and in just a matter of 2 to 3 hours, they have the mock-up STL, and they can print it out and do the mock-up in the same day. They can do the test drive, the motivational mock-up in the same day, and they can sell the case. Yeah, and if I would have to send a physical model from here to Chicago, it would take 2, 3, 4 days maybe from Europe. And then we have big delays, time-consuming workflows, and that's not good for anyone, yeah? Time is money, so we have to think how we can make everything more easy and more fast, and in the same time to be extremely predictable and to create amazing restorations, yeah? So basically, what I like about this printer is that it's an open system. You can put any kind of resin you want inside. Basically, you can use temporary resins, model resins, a lot of a very wide range of materials. Yeah, and I will be talking about this later. It's compatible with more than 350 materials. It's not locked like other systems. Plug and play, easy to install. We just got it like a few months ago, and I remember it took us less than half an hour to put everything together and to start it and have our first print. What I like about it, it's super fast and super accurate, and that's extremely important in dentistry. Yeah, you have options to print ortho models, normal models, temporaries. We are using their resin for temporaries, and we are printing individual veneers or individual crowns or bridges, and we can send to our dentist to do the try-ins, the test drives, and so on. How we do it? First of all, we have 2-stage mock-ups for every single patient. For example, we get the impression from the dentist, and we have motivational mock-up, which is the one on the upper side, and we create a silicone key, and the dentist will receive this package. He will just use steleo or different mock-up materials, and they will do a indirect mock-up using the silicone key. So basically, they can see the preview of the future smile. They can also use that mock-up as a surgical guide for the gums, and they can use that also as a prep guide. Yeah, you know the Galib-Gurel technique, prepping through the mock-up. So basically, it has many different uses, the first stage mock-up, motivational mock-up. Then once the case is sold and the patient really wants to go next step, he wants to go for the veneers, and the dentist will do the preps. We have the second mock-up with individual printed elements on prep teeth. Basically, we can provide the STL files to our dentist so he can print individual veneers or crowns or bridges or whatever it's necessary for that case. And he can check the final shapes, the final fit of the final restoration without having them. Basically, these will be equal copies of the final restorations. And he can say in the last minute, okay, maybe here we have to change something or everything is perfect, just go for it. So we learned to use full digital workflow to become more predictable. And this is all about when I became the ambassador of the Slow Dentistry Group, and I was telling them about full digital workflow, and they really loved the idea about being predictable, because that's all about in slow dentistry. Take your time to create amazing results for your patients. Then we have another tool that can help you play with your toys. For example, having the intraoral scanner, face scanner, on this med cart, and you can move it from one room to another without having the something that is like a desktop PC and you have to have your scanner only in one room. I like that also. And many will ask me, okay, but if I want to run this printer and I want to run an intraoral scanner and I want to run maybe a chairside exocad software on the computer, which one would you recommend? I like this super small sized toy. It's a small laptop from Asus. It's just the new COM on the market. And it's extremely powerful, and it's tiny. It has only 14 inches, and it's a lot of horsepower inside. Basically, it can run exocad software, which is a CAD software, yeah, and it can run Medit, it can run software for the printer. So basically, you can have everything in one portable, ultra portable laptop, and you can run your business from it. Just make sure that if you want to go for other laptops, try not to go for nothing below GeForce GTX 1060. Yeah, that should be, they are older models, like 3-4 years ago, but nothing older than that. This is the ideal setup. And of course, we have the exocad chairside, which is, let's say, a newer member of the family of exocad, and you can actually use it to design single crowns, veneers, onlays, and different other restorations for single units using different materials like Empress or Emacs or Telio or TetriCAD and so on. Basically, we are using in our training center the program IL1, and we were using it for the last 2 courses, for the live patient courses, and the final outcome and the fit of the restoration was really amazing. So I will start showing you some of my cases so you can understand the workflow and how it goes. I will show you the clinical part and the laboratory if it's necessary. So let's start with the first one. Okay, so first we took the intraoral impression of this patient. As you can see, we were using the PLI format. This is the new international standard for digital dentistry because the STL is already outdated and not used so much anymore. So that was my first choice to use the Medit intraoral scanner because they had it from the beginning. Then I went for the step 2 in our clinical protocol, and we were using the face scanner. For every single patient, we take a set of 4 face scans like this one, and we use these AFT scan bodies. Basically, these scan bodies are helping us to put the position of the maxilla exactly like it is in the patient's head in our virtual patient. Basically, the face scanner doesn't provide us only with the face of the patient, but more than that, it is also a digital face bow. And after that, after we introduce everything into Exocad, we can actually measure the Bennett angles, and we can customize and add the values of our real patient into the virtual articulator, so we can reproduce and try to create a functional smile, a functional prosthetic component. Once we scan these 4 face scans, one with the both scan bodies, mouth closed, slightly open, and big smile, we are scanning with our intraoral scanner also the scan body mouth, the one that patient is going to bite on and have it in the mouth during the face scanning in the first face scan. And you will see in the following video what I'm talking about, yeah? So give me just a few seconds. Here, we are designing everything into Exocad, so you can actually see the steps, intraoral scanning. We introduce it into Exocad, then we add the face scan. Sorry, I went, I think, too fast. Give me 1 second. Step 2 is to add the face scanner into the equation, and then designing the smile, facially guided, but more than that, create a functional smile using the virtual articulator and using these values that we measure from Exocad. Then the next step would be definitely to show you how we are transferring the position of the maxilla into the 3D head and how we create our virtual patient. Me, as a dental technician, I always like to have the patient in front of me, but working with dentists from abroad, dentists that are in different countries, big distances, it's impossible. Then we created a virtual patient and we work on it. We have many options. We can use the face scan from Medit. With the intraoral scanner, we can scan partial or just a part of the face of the patient. Using the AFT face scanner or the iPhone 11 or iPhone 10 with the AFT scan bodies, we can get this kind of results. Or we can use just a 2D photo and introduce it into Exocad Smile Composer. Anyway, here you can see in the video on the left side, you can see that we have 2 different scans. One of them is the intraoral scan. The second one is the scan body teeth. Now, we have to match it and add it as a mesh in Exocad, and we are going to choose common points. So the intraoral scan will match perfectly with this bite, with the scan body teeth. And once we have that done, you can watch on the right side video, we are going to match the scan body teeth with the face scan. And that's how we are introducing the intraoral scan into the face scan using our Exocad software, yeah? So on the left side, you will see now the match. So they match perfectly now. And then on the right side, you will see how we introduce the intraoral scan into the mouth, and then we delete these meshes or we make them transparent, and we use the other face scans with the mouth closed, mouth slightly open, and big smile. So just wait for a few seconds, and you will see on the right side the result. This is one of the first cases we did in 2018. And this article is very, very special, and it's going to appear in a new book of Pascal Magnier, and I'm going to explain the technique over there, how everything was done. More than that, I will show you the entire case. Of course, here is the Exocad web view. This is the part when I was telling to you that the dentists can communicate much better now with the dental laboratory, because they can get this kind of data. Yeah, they can have a 3D head. They can have everything in front of them on the phone. They can play with the transparencies. You can see the design. You can see the old teeth if you make the design transparent, and you can see how long are the new teeth compared to the old ones. You have the CBCT. You can have actually the full virtual patient in the palm of your hand. And that's what I love about the Exocad web view. You can download it for free even now. When you are watching this webinar, you can go to the Apple store or whatever it is and just download the Exocad web view app, and you can have this kind of workflow with your dental technician. When it comes to 3D printing, in this case, we decided that we want to do 6 veneers for this lady. So 6 anterior veneers. So we printed individual veneers on non-prep teeth. Remember, I took the impression because the dentist asked me, Milos, can you please see this patient? She wants some veneers. And I said, of course, send it to me. I will try to do something to see if we can do veneers. And this was the outcome. She, in the black and white photo, is without these printed veneers, and in the mouth is with the veneers. So you can see that she has very
Okay, we've just lost Milos there, so we'll just wait a minute or two, and I'm sure he'll be back online very shortly. Okay, it's just coming back on. His computer decided to shut itself down. So just for those watching, if you've got any questions as we go, please be sure to ask them in either the chat box or the Q&A box, and we can put them to Milos at the end. Here we go. Welcome back.
Okay, sorry, I really had a small something happened with my computer. I will just go back to sharing the screen. So can you please enable it again? Okay, now I can share it again. Okay. And I will go back to where I left. So I think here we stopped everything. So this is the initial situation of the patient, and then with the printed individual veneers. In this case, we used Detax. That was in 2018. We used Detax B1, I think, for printing these individual veneers. And patient was surprised that she looked so good, and she said, okay, I want to go for the veneers. Then I got an idea, and I said, okay, what if I would finish these veneers without the dentist? What would be then? And I went the next step. In here I used, for the first time at that time, almost 3 years ago, I used refractory material and removable dies on the printed model. We replaced the removable dies with the refractory ones and finalized the veneers like you see in the picture, 0.1 to 0.3 thickness. And I placed these veneers using the Trying gel into the mouth of the patient, and she was thrilled. And then I called the dentist and I asked him kindly to come and cement the veneers for us. And he was like, what? I didn't send you any case, no impressions. And I said, don't worry, I did the planning for a lady. She loved it. I sold the case. She wanted to go for the next step. And then I created the veneers for her, and she's happy with the final veneers. I did the trial already. Just please come and cement the veneers. So it was so easy to do this case. Of course, it's one in 10 cases like this, simple, but it was really a nice way to show how we can use the full digital workflow in our advantage, and we can create beautiful things. That's the final situation after the cementation was done. intraorally. And of course, the case was published. And if somebody wants this article, you can email me in the end of the presentation. You will see my email, my website, and I can send it to you in this weekend, so you can have a nice read. These are the final photos of this case. So in this case, we did only 6 anterior veneers. We closed these gaps and we created a nice natural smile. Now, in the following video, you will see a very interesting case. This is actually one of the last cases. And in this case, we were using a SIGA printer to create the motivational mockup and individual printed veneers and so on. So I will show you the video in the beginning and then present you the case. Okay, so let's start with presenting this case. This is the initial situation of our patient. She was a live patient in the course. So we had a 3-day course using the full digital workflow. And in the day 1, which is the planning day, which is the most important component of predictable restoration of full digital workflow, we decided to take some photos before and to take the intraoral scans and face scans. So that's how actually her smile was looking before. And you see an intraoral picture here. And if you want to learn how to take these shots, you can check out later my website and my book. Yeah, so this is deep bite. We had to increase the bite in this case because otherwise she would not have any protections for the future veneers. And it was not an easy case for us to finish in 3 days. So this is the intraoral situation of the patient, lowers and uppers, occlusal view. Yeah. And one more thing, in full digital workflow, we are using 99% of the time intraoral scans to document our patient cases. So we don't do too much photography. We do photography only if we want to publish the case, use it for social media, use it for articles and so on. Otherwise, standardize your workflow and try to document all the cases with STL, PLI files and so on, with intraoral scans and face scans. As I said already, here we have the face scan of this patient, the same workflow, 1, 2, 3, and 4 face scans and the scan body teeth. And we decided in this case, the case was done with Dr. Jan Kurz Hoffmann from Germany. He's our dentist when we do these full digital workflow courses here in Timisoara. And he did 6 palatal veneers for this case and 8 occlusal tabletops for lowers. In this way, we were able to increase the bite by 2 millimeters and to protect the future veneers. But we didn't do just simple increase 2 millimeters. We were using the digital face bow, the face scanner, and we increased using the ExoCAD. We checked that everything is functional. So you can see in these following videos that we were using the Bennett angles of our real patient, and we introduced the real values of our patient into the virtual articulator. In this way, we were safe. We were able to increase by 2 millimeters the bite, and only then we were able to do minimum invasive preps on this case so we can proceed and do finally our veneers. That was the beauty of this case. Here we used a Sika UberMax printer, and we used in the spring we were using the Detax B1 color for the printer, and we printed 8 individual veneers, and you can see the fit on the model. Yeah, they are exactly like the final restoration. There is no difference between them. In this case, we did the veneers on the non-prep model. Yeah, we didn't prep nothing yet. And then we placed them in the mouth using some Trine gel or glycerin gel. And this is the outcome. Of course, the patient loved the result, and she said maybe she could have a little bit more squarish look. Anyway, you can see the photos before and after. And then some close-ups with these printed veneers. It's a complete radical change for her. And she really loved this first motivational mock-up. She said, yes, I want to go for the next step. Of course, she was already booked for this course, and she said she wants to go all the way. So she was really surprised by the looks. You can see here just a simple video from the trying period. Yeah. So what we did, we just removed the veneers from the printer, cut the connectors, and just placed the veneers in the mouth without doing anything. And that's the beauty of this workflow. So imagine me being in a different country, dentist in a different country, and he gets in a matter of 2-3 hours his future veneers without doing anything. Just intraoral scan sent to the lab technician, and he gets in his own clinic printed veneers using the chairside printer. Here we have the preps of this case. As you can see, they were prepped between 0.2, 0.3 millimeters in the cervical area. We just removed some of the composites that were not really well done. And we used Empress Multi by Ivoclar in this case, 0.3 to 0.7 the thickness. And we milled them according to the specification of our patient because she wanted to have more squarish centrals. And this is the final picture of the veneers. And here we prepare everything for cementation using the rubber dam and so on. Variolink aesthetic dual cure for adhesive cementation because we didn't went to dentin. We stay in enamel area, which is very important in this kind of cases. And here you can see the final outcome with the Trine gel. Yeah, just before the cementation, we did some trines. And here you can see some of the close-ups with this case. Patient was really happy with the outcome, and she's actually from family. So I saw her recently, and all the veneers are in its place. All the composites are in its place because when we did the palatal veneers and the occlusal tabletops, we used the flowable injection technique by Enrique Diaz-Guzman. So we used the transparent index silicone key from Anaxdent, and everything worked out really amazing. Now let's see how we can use full digital workflow for full mouth rehabs. And in this case, I tell you that we can use the printer to print a splint. Yeah. So basically, my dentist is deciding how much we need to increase the bite. Once he decides that and he tells us this information, we can actually design this splint according to a dentist indication, send him the STL file, and he can print out his splint by himself. Once the splint therapy is done, between 3, 4, 5 months, depends on the time that the patient has or the dentist has, then we proceed to the next steps. But when we talk about the bite in full mouth rehabs, I rather have a CBCT. Yeah, I have the intraoral impression of the uppers, intraoral impression of the lowers. I get the CBCT and I overlay the CBCT with the intraoral scans, and that's how I get the bite. But when we send the patient to the CBCT, we tell him to use that splint, the final splint. After 3, 6 months or whatever, he will use that splint in the mouth while doing the CBCT. And that's how we get the bite, the final increase of the vertical dimension of occlusion, and so on. In this case, we had to do a full mouth rehab, uppers and lowers. You can see here that we overlaid the CBCT to get, we overlaid the CBCT with the intraoral impressions to get the bite. And we had to increase more than 5 millimeters in this case. And then we transferred the CBCT also into our virtual 3D head of our patient. So we had not only the intraoral impression, but we had also the soft tissue, hard tissue, and all the details. In this case, particular case, we used a mesh mixer to open the bite using the CBCT. Basically, why we did this is because we didn't want to do the translation of the condyles. When we have to increase the vertical dimension of occlusion a lot, we make sure that we have a full CBCT, and then when we increase this bite using the mesh mixer, we can be as predictable as possible. In this case, you can see that we did a transfer in the face scan. So we got our full virtual patient, and we were able to start designing everything from A to Z. We did first motivational mockup. We printed the full model in this case, yeah, and then we created the silicone keys, and the dentist did the mockup in the mouth. And right now, the patient is still under treatments, a lot of different treatments, and we are waiting for them to be done so we can proceed with the final restoration. Yeah, so here we can see what we sent to our dentist for approval. We did the design using the ExaCAD. And of course, then we printed the models, as I said already. And here we have the patient before, and here we have the patient after. Yeah, that was the first step, first planning for this case. Now another case that we have here, and this is the last one I will be showing today. It's with Miss Romania. We just did this case in August, recently. Okay, so you saw the video of this case. This is the case was done in only 2 days using the full digital workflow, scanning, printing, milling, and cementing everything. This picture is only after 5 days after cementation. After the gum surgery, the gums were healed. Very nice. The final shots intraorally and some close-ups. And of course, an article about this lady. And one last short video about my book. And then we can start with the questions. Okay, so if you want to learn to make these beautiful shots and you want to document your cases properly, even if it's lab work or clinical work, in the book you will find the answers. In my online courses about dental photography and keynote in dentistry. And this would be a tip for you guys if you are starting now with dental photography. This would be the ideal setup: Nikon D750, Tokina 100mm lens, and twin flash from Mikey. So everything and more than that you can find on dentalpromaster.com. You can also send me your questions on my email. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram and on dentalpromaster.com. I really want to thank all of you for joining me, and I will stop sharing now my screen. I hope so I can. I don't see, where is it? Okay, here. And I'm back again with you guys. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak for you guys.
That's great. Thanks for that, Milos. I don't think anybody needs to struggle to find you somewhere online. I think you pop up on my every feed that I have, so I think they'll quite easily find you. If you can just give the screen sharing back to me, and I'll start bringing up some questions.
Yes, I'm not sharing anything. I stopped my screen sharing, so you can actually do whatever you want now. Everybody see you now. I think so.
Yeah, I think you just need to.
I just stopped screen sharing, so you have the controls now.
If you can just go into the settings under my profile under the panelists and just hand the screen, just bring me. I think I made you as a host, so I just need you to switch that back if you can.
I'm not sure where.
So under the panelist list, if you just go to more, you should be able to, under my profile, Asiga printers.
I don't have that.
That's okay. We'll go into the questions. So
okay.
There's a question here just asking you what the best print resin is for mock-ups in your opinion that's compatible with the Max
We were
UV.
using two resins in the last few months. We were using the one from you guys, the Asiga temporary material. We have the one since beginning in the beta testing, and we were trying, and it's perfect. It works really amazing. And the oldest one that we are using is the Detax B1. So these two resins we have only in our labs for temporaries, and I'm really happy with them.
Okay, that's great. So that's the Detax is the free print range, isn't it? I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Another one here. When printing models with removable dies, how do we prevent them from being too loose and wobbly in the 3D printed model?
Okay, so for this, you need a little bit of experience and you need to try in few settings. Depending on each printer, depending on each Exocad or I mean CAD software, you need to try it out. I mean, what we did, we printed like 6 different models with 6 different parameters, and we choose the one that it has the best fit. And then you have to know that once you start taking the dies out and putting them back in after several times, they will get loose anyway. So basically, try not to play too much with the dies, taking them out and in. That would be my advice. But there is not any recipe for getting them perfect from the beginning. Yeah, you have to try it out and make your perfect parameters for your individual printer. That's our experience, at least.
Yeah, good. I think in some software packages as well. So for all Asiga users, there's a software tab in the Asiga end user account. So that opens up access to export settings and Exocad export settings.
Okay, I didn't know about that. We just tried in the old-fashioned way. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's settings for Exocad in there. There's also settings for 3Shape. So there's a tab right next to the online Asiga material library. There's a software library there as well.
Yeah, and the last question, I think you can answer to that one.
Yeah, so how to set up my 3D printer to print the same clone models without having differences between them. So I'm not sure if I quite understand that question, other than the on all the Asiga printers, we have what we refer to as process monitoring technology. So we monitor the layering formation throughout every single print. So every layer is formed to the correct thickness, to the correct size through our sensing technologies.
If you print the same model over and over again, that should be the same result without having any difference between them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So there's a question here in the chat. So how is it better to print models within plants, directly on the support or with pins?
We have it with not supported, I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I just have okay. That's in the chat.
In the chat, yeah. So directly on supports with the model for models that have removable dies, normally the model is in most cases is best to print directly off the build platform where you can. Some models do require some supports depending on the geometry. If they're solid models, they can go directly on the platform. When printing the removable die, what the objective is to make sure that you've got a good enough surface area to attach that component to the build platform. And so rather than at the base of a die, there might be a small pin. That the diameter of that pin is typically less than 2 millimeters, maybe. So printing it directly on the build platform, it's a very small surface area to hold what is actually quite a large model in comparison to that connection point. So in those cases, for those particular dies, we recommend to print them on supports, because then you're just giving it a much stronger, much more robust base to attach it to the platform. So the model can be printed directly from the platform. The dies can be printed on supports. Typically, it's probably safest on supports.
Another question we have: which resin do you recommend for printing surgical guides? We just received recently one resin from Keystone Company to try it out, and it was recommended by a good friend of mine from Canada. I'm going to try it out hopefully in the following days, and I will let you know on my social media platform on Facebook and Instagram. We are going to print it out with a Asiga printer, and we are going to use the Keystone resin for surgical guides. But I think you guys also have this coming, or not yet?
Yeah, we do. We've got a new material called Denta Guide. So all the Asiga materials, the prefix starts with Denta. So we've got a material now for all applications. The biocompatible series from Asiga is just going through that certification process at the moment.
Yeah, so I guess I will get them tomorrow, as you said.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get them today to try it out, but it was not in time. So yeah.
Yeah. So the Asiga material library holds. I think we're getting close now to up to 500 material files in there. So those are optimized and validated build settings for many of the leading material manufacturers online. So Keystone is one of our one of our key dental material relationships that we have. So they have Asiga printers in house for their own material development. So we ensure that when those material, and I know that they've just released a range of new materials, before they get to market, they're already in discussion with us confidentially, so we can work together to build optimized curing profiles, and then we'll place them in the Asiga material library online.
And everybody can have the perfect recipe.
Absolutely. So it's a plug and play setting. So you basically, the concept, most of the time it works like this, where the material manufacturer, we get all the curing settings, all the build settings ready, fully validated between us and the material manufacturer, and then pre-release, that's all loaded into the library. So when the material is released, you can go and buy it and start printing with it. So that material system is really, it's really something that we take. Even though we've got our own biocompatible materials coming, that is really something that we see is it's going to be a future for Asiga, that we continue to work with these material manufacturers. It's an important part.
Yeah. Bogdan added another question on his question. He used preprint ortho resin for the surgical guides, and he got incomplete prints. So can the resin be the problem or not really?
Incomplete prints. Oh, that could be a number of different things. The best thing to do for anybody who has any issues 3D printing is to open up a support ticket with Asiga or contact your reseller. But the support ticketing system that all of our end users have access to is an unlimited lifetime tech support. It's for free. We stand by our products. They should do what they say they do. So you can access tech support from Asiga at any point. So in that case, it's very difficult to know what that is. It could be a support setup thing. It could be the design of the appliance. It could be something with the printer. Who knows? I think it's best to raise a ticket for that.
So
there's any chance
question.
Any chance of dental model material in other colors? That's a very good question. So we get a lot of requests for opaque white. As you've said, you'd love to have it in opaque white. As Asiga, when we began, dentistry wasn't really an industry where 3D printing was a major part of that process. When we launched our first products in 2011, we launched with a series of plas materials, we called them, and we've got them in 4 colors, and one of those colors is white. And we've got lots of customers all around the world using plas white to print dental models. I expect, though, that you'll probably see something within our Denta series that's white, but the pricing's the same. It's a really nice opaque white material. So check out Plas White. You can see details on the website.
Yes, and I would like to have the opal translucent one, especially because I do a lot of non-prep cases, and we have to print super thin veneers like 0.3, 0.4, maybe thinner sometimes. And then that would be nice because it would be translucent. It will take the color of the natural tooth, and it will have this opal effect. So that would be a really interesting resin. And when I visited your headquarters in Sydney last year, I was talking about this new material, and I know that you started, guys, some tests about it, but we'll see in future.
Yeah, we've got lots of things happening. So
that's what I love about companies that are open to feedbacks of others, and like the Medit company is also, because everything is happening after the feedback of the people in the group. So the same is also a Asiga group on Facebook, and people get questions, get answers, get very nice support over there. And if they need new features, the company is always open to add new things. That's the beauty.
Absolutely. If you actually look at our products today, compare them to when we launched in 2011, obviously there's been development there, so that you can see the products look different. They perform very differently. They're manufactured very differently. But a lot of the user features and a lot of the software features have actually been driven by our end users. You know, we take that really seriously because we work across multiple industries, so we can't be an expert in every one of those industries. All we know is that we can manufacture 3D printers that will produce a consistent, reliable output. And yeah, that's where they come into their own in a production environment. The other one here, how many times is it recommended to calibrate and set the position of the encoders on a UV Max? Really, the encoder calibration is part of the leveling of the build platform. It really comes down to the way that our users interact with the printer. Some of our customers have never calibrated, so they've never done they've never done a level calibration on the platform. And then some calibrate every day, some calibrate every week, some calibrate before every print. It really comes down to a personal thing, but we recommend every 20 to 30 builds. But the reality is that you should only really calibrate when you need to. So, you know, if it's working well, just look at it.
Only one time. We calibrate only one time, and we are printing almost every day. So we didn't have any bad prints or whatever. It was good.
Yeah, that's good. Are there any recyclable printing materials? That's a really good question. I'm not sure. The good thing for the industry, and I think I mentioned something similar to this on the last webinar, was that in dentistry, we're looking at dental materials and material manufacturers that predominantly make dental materials. If you look at 3D printing or additive manufacturing on a broader scale, you're bringing in other industries, and for example, general manufacturing. So manufacturing of washing machines or kettles or cars or whatever it might be, consumer goods. And lots of the plastics manufacturers for those particular products have a real interest in 3D printing because, you know, the house of the future, or the future in producing spare parts for products, could be 3D printed. So companies like BASF, companies like Henkel Loctite, like big polymer manufacturers, they're all looking at 3D printing. Well, they're not looking at it; they're actively working within this industry. And part of they've already got part of their business is already around sustainability and being able to recycle product where they can. So I'd expect that there'll be some changes there down the track. At the moment, I'm not sure, but it will definitely be something that's been discussed with those guys.
And we got a very technical question over there, which you can answer probably. How it influences the impression when you select in the build wizard, fast print mode, separation detect, or anti-aliasing?
Yeah, so they're all very different. The fast printing mode automatically activates separation detect. You should see no change in the model or the output. Anything that you print in normal mode or fast print mode, you should see no change. Now, the reason we actually do get asked this quite a lot, because and why don't we just have fast print mode as the default printing mode? The reason for that is that we couldn't validate when we launched the fast print mode within our later software releases. We couldn't validate that would work well with all materials within our library. We were confident that it shouldn't make any issue or any other variation in output. But it was just a safe decision for us, or a safe way to go. So it's a selectable function. All that the fast print mode does is it optimizes all the control components within the printer. Separation detect is automatically switched on when you select fast print mode, because separation detect detects when the printer separates that layer. So then we can come down and approach for the next layer. So it just speeds up the layering process. The smart positioning system technology on all the SIGA systems, our SPS technology, detects approach and separation. So we know that the build platform is in the position for every layer. So the fast print mode is only all that is doing. It's optimizing some back end processing and control just to speed up that process, but you should see no difference. Anti-aliasing is where we soften the perimeter of every image that's projected, and that just helps to produce a nicer, smoother, more accurate model. But fast print mode, separation, detect, and anti-aliasing, I'd have all of them switched on, and you should see no difference.
Yeah. So I think these are all the questions. Do you have any other questions for us?
No, yeah. I think that's it, Milos.
Yeah.
You got away lightly there. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've run over as well now. So look, I'd just like to say thank you, Milos, for your time this evening. It's great to see such an amazing presentation, and it's really nice to hear you talk so passionately about what you do. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what the future brings.
It's a new way to do dentistry, combining things that you love. In my case, photography with digital dentistry, and creating nice educational presentations and cases that people can be inspired and they can follow and they can go digital, because everybody, most of the dentists are still in the comfort zone. They master the analog techniques, they master the analog dentistry, and they are safe there, and they are afraid to make the next step to digital dentistry. And I'm trying to show them how easy it is and how fast you can change everything that you know from A to Z in just a matter of days. That's why we have our live patient courses, 2 to 3 days, full digital workflow. So we show them that everybody can do it. Yeah, it's not rocket science. So
and those courses, Milos, that's not a traveling course. That's something that people visit your center in Romania.
Yeah, they have to come to Timișoara, and we do the full digital workflow course every spring in April or March with Dr. Jan Kurz-Hoffmann. And right now we are planning to have one in France every year, at least 1 or 2 times. So probably in Dijon will be the next course about full digital workflow with live patient. We already have the patient over there. We already have the dentist who will do the case. So basically, we are going to launch it in 2021. Not this year, because this year it's not good for anything. But hopefully next one will be much better for traveling, let's say. Yeah, and also we are trying to launch also in Germany. Yeah, so full digital workflow, it's spreading worldwide. We did this course in Hong Kong. We did this course in many other different continents and countries. So trying to spread the word that digital dentistry, chairside dentistry, it's super affordable. Everybody can do it, and it's not difficult.
Yeah, great.
Good.
All right. Well, just to wrap up, for those that are interested that don't have Milos's details, you can find them online. We can do a follow-up post on Facebook, or you can contact Asiga, or if you've made a note of the details on this webinar, please, feel free to reach out to him. For anybody interested in following more of this webinar series, we present all these or publish them through all of our social media channels, or you can register for the Asiga newsletter, where we make announcements when these webinars are coming live. And until the next time, everybody there, and Milos, please keep well, stay healthy, and take good care of yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, and have a great evening, night, morning, whatever it is on each continent. So it was a pleasure to see you all, guys, and talk to you. Bye-bye.